I ask your audience if anybody knows Judge Hippler, reach out to him and ask him to put his foot down and not accept this offer. It doesn't reflect anything in Idaho. This is not justice.
That is the father of Kaylee Gonsalves, who says they are outraged by the prosecution's decision to make a plea deal with Bryan Kohberger. He says it was against their family's wishes. They are expected to be in the courtroom today, along with the family of Ethan Chapin, who they say they support this deal. Now, the deal includes life in prison without parole or appeal in exchange for taking the death penalty off the table. But will it hold up today? I would like to welcome in criminal defense attorney Edwina Elcox. She's based there in Boise, is very familiar with the state's legal system and process. Edwina, thank you so much for giving us some of your time. First of all, what do you know about this judge, Judge Steven Hippler, and does he have to accept this plea deal?
So I think that at the end of this hearing, this plea deal is going to be accepted by the judge.
What can you tell us about this judge?
I think as all of these hearings have shown, he is, very by the book, runs an extremely efficient and, procedurally accurate courtroom. And so I think at the end of the day, this is the right resolution. I understand why the families are upset and have tremendous amounts of anger and emotion about this. But realistically, at the end of the day, the judge cannot force the state to seek the death penalty. And so if in the event that the state was to take the death penalty off the table, the court would essentially be bound by what this, or not bound by, but this resolution, this guilty plea and the proposed sentence is essentially the maximum that Kohberger could receive under the law anyway.
And Edwina, we heard from Steve Gonsalves before we came out to you, obviously outraged by this. We just heard from Brian Enton, who is live outside of the courthouse. And Steve actually walked in with his family, and then he opted to walk back out. He said he just couldn't sit in there and watch this. We know that at least right now, the victims' families are kind of split on this. There are some who agree with this deal, certainly like the Gonsalves family, very much against this deal. They want to put pressure on the judge not to accept it. Is that a rare thing? I mean, does the judge take that into consideration when ultimately making his decision, or is that not part of it?
There are certain circumstances in which a judge can reject a plea deal in Idaho. This is not one of them.
Edwina, talk about the irony here, because we have a defendant, Bryan Kohberger, who has for months now at this point, even longer, very much proclaimed his innocence. He has a defense team very much proclaiming his innocence. And then now we find out about this plea deal in which he will admit to taking the lives of these 4 young people. He will admit to killing as a guarantee of not being killed. How ironic is that to you?
The irony I feel in the situation is that this happened so close to trial, right? As far as legal proceedings and a trial of this magnitude goes, this is essentially the midnight hour for a resolution to be reached in the case. He has the presumption of innocence under the law, and that's one of the foundational principles of our judicial system. And so I think that the irony and the shock and outrage about this is that this case has gone on for so long, and it is literally a last minute over the weekend resolution that between, last week and the information that started, the rumblings that started coming out, and then over the weekend, it appears that this plea deal was reached. And I think that's the real irony of the situation.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.